Now let us apply that in the context of car collisions. So for example, we are inside a car traveling at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Napakabilis, no? 100 kilometers per hour, for example. And then, hindi gumana yung brake, for example. Nag-malfunction yung brake. Anong gagawin natin? So that we can minimize the injuries. Nag-malfunction yung brake. Wala tayong ibang options, kundi ibangga. Paano kaya tayo lalabas ng car na yan? At 100 kilometers per hour. Of course, logic would tell us na do not try to to collide or to bump doon sa wall. Okay, compare natin sa dito tayo dadaan na lang. So for example, nawalan tayo ng preno. Pero i-try natin ibangga sa wall or ibangga natin either dito tayo dadaan sa rice field. Alam natin na pareho lang yung speed, pareho lang sila mag-stop. However, since dito sa wall, kapag ibangga mo yan sa wall, the time of impact will be abrupt. Do you follow? So very abrupt yung pagka-impact niya ba? Abrupt yung impact. So very short period of time, that means the force experience will be very large. So it can cause a lot of damage. Ako ha? However, if we are going to give it more time, bigyan natin siya ng more time to stop, that means the force of impact will be lower. Get? The force of impact will be lower. That is why usually kapag titingin ka sa mga website, ano ang gagawin kapag ganyan yung mangyayari? Try to give the car more time to stop. Give it more time to stop. How? Daan ka sa mga grasses or sa gilid, ipidpidsan mo gamay sa gilid. Give it more time. Allow longer duration. Hindi abrupt dapat yung pagka-stop. Okay? Because the moment you allow it or you give it more time to stop, the force of impact will be lower. Good? The force of impact will be lower. So, allow more time. Use friction. So, for example, kapag titingin ka ng websites, for example, sa motorcycle, ano ang gagawin? Ano ang best na gagawin sa motorcycle if ma-crash ang motorcycle or matumba sa motorcycle? Ano ang gagawin dapat? Do not land on the ground abruptly. Do you follow? Hindi pwede abrupt. Pagkatumba, pilit din ka sa ground na. No. Give your body more time. So roll. Give your body more time to stop para ma-minimize ang force of impact. Do you follow? So how are we going to analyze collisions using the concepts of impulse and momentum? Before i-release yung mga car models, ginatest pa na niyang capability or impulse during crash. Okay? So meron tayong crash test. For example, in a crash test, a car of mass 1.5 times 10 to the power of 3 kilograms, that is just basically 1,500 kilograms, collides with a wall and rebounds as in the figure on the right. The initial and final velocities of the car are -15, etc. So basically, ang nangyayari, meron tayong sa car test, meron tayong car, excuse me, the mass of the car is 1,500 kilograms, and then the car is already traveling at an initial velocity of -15.0 meters per second. It is negative because it is going to the left. Okay, so tandaan ha, kapag negative, it means it is going to the left. Kapag positive, it is going to the right. That's the convention. Our final velocity is positive 2.60 meters per second. That means it is going to the right. Ayan. If the collision lasts for 0.150 seconds. So basically the time of impact is 0.150 seconds. Ayan. So let us calculate the impulse. For letter A, let us calculate the impulse. And for letter B, let us calculate the average force. Average force and impulse. Ayan. So basically, ang problem is, during car test, merong car, the mass of the car is 1,500. We can measure that. Ma-measure natin yung mass ng car. Yung velocity initial of the car, ma-measure din natin yan, which is 15 meters per second. And then the final velocity, ma-measure din natin yan, 2.60 meters per second. The time is 0.150 seconds. Ayan. So basically, balik tayo doon sa ating mga equations. First equation, we have impulse is equal to force times time. Second equation, we have momentum is equal to mass times velocity. And then the third equation is impulse is equal to change in momentum, or that is just mvf minus mvi. So these are the equations. Good? Ayan. So for letter A, ang kailangan natin is impulse. Letter A, kailangan natin is impulse. So ano yung gagamitin natin na equation to solve for impulse? Can we use the first equation? No, we do not have force. So that means we cannot use equation number 1. How about equation number 3? Meron tayong impulse sa equation number 3. Do we have mass? Yes. Do we have final velocity? Yes. Mass? Yes. Initial velocity? Yes. So that means we will use equation number 3. And that is impulse is equal to mvf minus mvi. Good? Okay, so calculate lang. Mass is 1,500 kilograms times the final velocity, which is, ilagay final, 2.60 meters per second, minus mass, the same, 1,500 kilograms, and then the final velocity, initial rather, is 15.0 meters per second. And that gives us what? Wala may answer, Ani. 1,500 times 2.60 minus 1,500 times negative 15. That gives us 26,400. What's the unit? Kilogram and meter per second. Good. So our final answer will be impulse is equal to 26,400 kilograms meter per second. So this is already our final answer. Take note of the equation of the unit, ha? Ito yung unit natin, kilogram meter per second for impulse. Sir, how do we know if VI and VF is going to the left or to the right? It will be stated in the problem. Naka-state siya sa problem. Or if yung velocity is negative, kagaya nito, if the velocity is negative, it means it is going to the left. Okay? If the velocity is negative, that means it is going to the left. If the velocity is positive, that means it is going to the right. Ayan. So, let's proceed sa force. How about the force of impact? Kasi ito yung importante na malaman natin. Ano ba yung force of impact during the test? So for letter B, kailangan natin is force of impact. So balik lang tayo sa equations. Saan sa equations yung mayroong force? So aside sa equation number, ayan. Ayan, ano yung equation natin na mayroong force? How about equation number 1? Meron siyang force. Do we have impulse? Yes. Do we have time? Yes. So that means we can use equation number 1. Good? Gawan lang natin ng triangle para para mas madali ma-remember. Impulse is equal to force times time, and momentum is equal to mass times velocity. And so these are the equations para mas madali ma-remember. So in this case, force yung kailangan natin. So that means force is equal to impulse over time. Ayan. Force is equal to impulse over time. So our impulse is 26,400 kilograms meter per second divided by the time, which is 0.150 seconds. And that will give us what?
Says 176,000 po.
176,000 unit. What's the unit of force, Chelsea?
Force?
What's the unit of force?
Newton, sir.
Newton. That's the unit of force. Don't forget the unit, ha? Don't forget the units of our quantities. Mali ang unit, ha? Mali gihapon. Okay, so we have force, which is equivalent to 176,000 newtons. This is the magnitude. So if this is the magnitude, what is the direction of this force?
Right po, sir.
Okay, very good. Right siya because it is positive. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng values? How can we make sense of that value? For example, 176,000 Newton. How are we going to visualize? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng 176,000 Newton, sir? Hindi ko ma-visualize anong ibig sabihin ng 176,000 Newton. You already know how to convert force to mass, di ba? So i-convert lang natin sa mass para mas madali natin siya ma-visualize. So just divide by 9.81. And that gives us approximately 18,000 kilograms. So 176,000 newtons is just the same as 18,000 kilograms. So ibig sabihin, during the collision, during the collision, it is as if that an object with a mass of 18,000 kilograms is being dropped on the car. Do you follow? Imagine you're inside that car. Imagine you're inside that car. And then there is an object weighing 18,000 kilograms that is dropped on the car. Imagine 18,000 kilograms. Napakabigat. 50 kilograms nga. Parang ano na yung 50 kilograms. Nakuha. 15 meters per second. For example, it is traveling at 15 meters per second. That is just 54 kilometers per hour. Diba? 54 kilometers per hour lang yan. Nag-travel. 54 kilometers per hour. Nag-travel siya. And yet the force experience is very high. So that's why it is very dangerous. Nako, no? During collision, very dangerous. Because the force experienced by the car. Imagine na nasa loob ka ng car. This is a car test, by the way. Car test. Kasi gina-measure man yan during car test kung ano yung impact, ano yung force, ano yung time of collision. Gina-measure na during car test. Imagine you are inside that car and it is as if 18,000 kilogram object is dropped on the car.